Hello everyone, thanks for joining us for another edition of Texas Insider TV, brought to you by Speedstream. I'm Jim Cardle. He's currently chairman of the Senate Education Committee, also on the Senate Finance Committee, the founder of the Tea Party caucus in the state legislature, and elected in 2006, a state legislator from SD7 in Houston. We're glad to be able to visit today with Senator Dan Patrick. Dan, thanks for joining us.
It's good to be here. Forgive my sore throat, folks, and watery eyes. It is that time of the season.
You've been running around the state as one of four candidates for
Yes.
lieutenant governor. It is the heat of the campaign, so I can imagine being run down is to be expected.
Yeah, let me tell you something, Jim. It has been such a blessing, and it's been fun. The travel wears you out, but getting in front of grassroots folks all over the state, getting in front of the entrepreneurs and the hardworking business owners that I've met all over the state, and hearing their stories, and it's just uplifting. No place like Texas. I mean, if you're ever going to run for statewide office, and it's a big state, but Texas is the place to be. I've seen every corner of the state pretty much. It's just been wonderful. It's been wonderful.
And if we can, I want to just jump right into some issues because you have been with us before. I want to be respectful of your time. And last time you were here, it was toward the end of the special sessions, talking about Cscope. We'll get to that in a minute. But tell us, if you can, speculation at that point that Dan Patrick was going to be doing something. Everybody wanted to know what it was. You're now running for lieutenant governor.
Yes.
What helped you make the decision?
I've been in the legislature, will be 8 years at the end of the term, and I'm a doer. I've done a lot. I'm proud of what I've accomplished. In God we trust, in the Senate under God, and the state pledge, the sonogram bill, cutting the business tax, and about probably another 100 pieces of key legislation, and a lot of education reform this session. But I felt like I had gotten to kind of my limit of I couldn't accomplish the things that I think the people want to accomplish without taking that next step. And we'll talk about border security, school choice, property tax relief, and other key issues that I'm focused on. Mm-hmm. So the question was, do you want to come back and go through the frustration of continuing to file bills to address these issues and nothing happening? The second issue was leadership. And I had not made up my mind what to do. And then we had the filibuster. And the week before that, which people don't remember, Jim, it was the week before that really bothered me. Okay. Because the pro-life omnibus bill was three parts. The bringing up standards of abortion clinics to ambulatory surgical centers. And then I had a bill, that was Bob Duell's bill. Then I had a bill regulating RU-486, the abortion-inducing drug, to make sure that doctors followed FDA and drug company guidelines. That was my bill. And then Glenn Hager had the bill of stopping abortions at 5 months. What people don't know or don't remember is that bill passed the Tuesday before the filibuster. And the lieutenant governor took out the ban on abortion at 20 weeks. The lieutenant governor took that out of the bill. Now, to this day, I have my theories, but I can't prove why. But that meant that bill went over to the House without that key provision.
And a lot of folks were speculating at that point that the House makeup was different if it was going to get through the House. I don't know if that was ever resolved or not, but
the
House was taken out, is your point.
But it was taken out of the Senate, and we had the votes, obviously, because we passed it when it came back. But the key in that is when that went over to the House, then they amended it, which they had to do because their members wanted to put that in. That sent it back to the Senate. And, of course, that was that night. Of course, it was a news story everywhere during the debate that first week when the lieutenant governor asked for that to be taken out of the bill, is he left the Senate and went out to a restaurant in the middle of a 10-hour debate. And I just said, what kind of leader leaves the Senate in the middle of a debate, and what kind of leader takes out the key part of the bill? And so that's when I really started leaning, because I'd been looking at it, and then the filibuster night. And I just, look, David Dewhurst is not a bad person. We've worked on some things together. But he has not completed the conservative agenda, and this session he didn't lead. He lost control of the Senate the night of anarchy. He lost control. And so I just made a decision. We needed new leadership. And that was the decision. When you've been there 12 years, if you haven't gotten it done at 12, I don't think you get 4 more. And there's so many things that just haven't been done.
And speaking of leadership,
Yes.
you have been chairman of the Senate Education Committee, had a tremendously successful session.
Thank you.
With a lot of end of course exams on parents' minds, certainly,
Yes.
and charter schools. But specifically, let's talk, if I can, about two issues: Cscope and the Common Core curriculum. You and I saw each other at the State Board of Education
Yes.
meeting about a month ago. They're continuing to look at Cscope. But as chairman of the Senate Education Committee, what's the latest on the Common Core implementation or the Cscope implementation?
Well, there's two different issues, but they are tied. And that's outside curriculum that parents don't have control over or say in. And so the Cscope, and I don't take credit for this, I conducted the hearings and I opened up the hearings and we accomplished a lot, but it was the parents who brought me information. And we held a hearing, and that led to great concerns. And eventually we got Cscope to quit selling the lessons. That was a big victory. We got them to close down their nonprofit. We got them to put everything online. It was a big victory. And then a lawyer comes along and says, well, now that everything is on, remember the battle was parents were saying we can't see it. So I persuaded them to put everything online, and now a lawyer comes along and says, well, they're not selling it, but because it's out in the public, it's public domain. So it was kind of a catch-22. I don't think the lawyer's right. And so as Lieutenant Governor, we will end Cscope once and for all as one of the first bills we pass, because what we will do is say any lesson written before August of 2013 by Cscope cannot be used. I filed that bill in the special session. So where the rubber meets the road is in the special session. We don't have the 21 vote rule, which means we only need 16 votes to pass a bill, and I never got that bill called to the floor. Greg Abbott has said he's going to put a stake through the heart of Cscope, and I'm going to have the hammer with him. Greg Abbott and I have worked together. The latest update is the audit. We have asked for an audit. There's an audit underway now of Cscope, and I believe we're going to find millions of dollars were spent without proper bids and without contracts.
We'll keep watching that.
And Common Core.
I was going to say the parents' issue is the implementation and teaching in the classroom, and you're moving to that.
And what bothers me about Cscope, we know the parents don't like it, we know the teachers don't like it, but we still have some school districts out there implementing it under local control, and parents need to be involved in their school districts and say, we don't want this. Common Core, we passed a bill, Dan Huberty and myself, I think it was House Bill 362, that stops Common Core from coming into Texas unless the legislature votes for it, and that means you hold your legislators accountable. Before this bill, the door was open that a future governor could bring in Common Core or one person, so we want to shut that down. So Common Core we've stopped unless the legislature votes for it. Cscope is ongoing. We're going to put a stake through the heart of it and end it for good. We didn't have the votes last session to do it. We had the votes for the review, and we thought it was over. But now that this battle has gone on, this legal fight, we're going to end it, period. Done.
Okay, and then if I can move to another issue after you put the stake through the Common Core of Education is something, a lot of focus these days on border security. The Lieutenant Governor did just come out recently with some interim charges and announcements about increasing Texas's involvement in border security.
Yeah, suddenly he wants $60 million more.
But you've been involved in that, or tell us if you can what's your read and what are you sharing on the
one of the reasons I'm running for Lieutenant Governor is border security, number one priority. My friend John Hagee at Cornerstone Church in San Antonio, who's endorsed our campaign, likes to say no society that doesn't use its freedom to defend its freedom will lose its freedom. Border security is not an immigration issue; it's a law and order issue. I want to give your audience some facts, and they'll be able to rewind and write them down. All right. One, between 2006, folks, and 2012, we apprehended 1,134,000 illegal immigrants in Texas. We think we get one out of every five. That means 5 million got through. From 2008 to 2012, we put in our jails in Texas 141,000 criminals that we identified being here illegally. We charged them with 447,000 crimes, including 2,000 murders and 5,000 rapes. Our border is not secure. The Lieutenant Governor this week suddenly comes out, or last week, with he wants $60 million more to secure the border. Where has he been for 12 years? But most importantly, where was he last session? We just passed a budget. He likes to take control of the budget, take credit for the budget. Here's the way you define this budget. Every Democrat voted for it, and many praised it. What does that tell you? That's not a conservative budget, and it's not a budget that cracked down on border security. In fact, our analysis of the numbers are we cut spending. So the Lieutenant Governor cut spending on border security in the spring, and now he wants to add $60 million because he's in a campaign. We must secure the border. We can do it, and we need more dollars. We need more focus, and I'll get it done. Period. End of story. Have to do it.
Let me ask you a lot of facts and figures
Yes.
there. What are the top 3 issues that you hear about on the stump? I assume that would be one of them. Just real brief.
Border security and related issues. School choice, which if I'd had some help, we'd have passed it. We were a couple of votes away. We need school choice. We have a 25% dropout rate or so, depending on which stat you want to read statewide, 40 to 50% in our inner cities. Folks, we don't have a future. We do not have a future if half of the next adult population, half of them aren't going to have a high school diploma. We have to have a lieutenant governor who's looking at the future for water, for roads, for border security, and for education. The other issue, campus carry. Look, special session again. Should have passed. We only need 16 votes. We had it. Democrats blocked it during the session. It'll pass when I'm lieutenant governor. And then the other big issue, Jim, with all your folks watching, are property taxes. I've been fighting for this year after year. I've filed bills that never, excuse my sore throat again, it never gets out of committee because you don't have leadership. Look, people should be able to stay in their homes when they pay for them and not be taxed out of them, even in retirement. I'm going to lower property taxes by doing this, a seesaw. As values go up, your effective tax rate must go down to no more than population inflation. If your cities and counties want more money, then they must come to you, make their case, and you have to vote on it. Right now, our local governments get 8-9% increase in their budget, and they tell you they've never increased your taxes. Didn't have to. They're getting an automatic 8 or 9% increase. So I want to freeze taxes for 65 and over, all taxes, and lower taxes for everyone else, and also on commercial property because there's no certainty. As lieutenant governor, I know where we need to go. I know what needs to be done. I've cast over 16,000 votes. I've been involved in every major issue for the last 4 sessions. I want to get it done. And one of the ways you get it done is you don't appoint half of the Democrat senators to chairman. I'm not going to do that. Lieutenant governor has appointed half of the Democrats to be chairman of committees since he's been lieutenant governor. Not on my watch. We worked too hard to elect conservative Republicans. Could there be 1 or 2? You know, I can make a case after they incited a riot last session, they don't deserve to get any chairmanships. But could there be 1 or 2? But it's not going to be half of them. We're conservative. Conservatives must lead. That's what I'll do as lieutenant governor.
Speaking of property taxes
Yes.
and homes, and as we wrap up, to be respectful of your time, folks, again, thanks for joining us. We're visiting with Senator Dan Patrick from SD7, chairman of the Senate Education Committee and the Tea Party caucus, running for lieutenant governor. Senator, one of the issues you were very involved in involves the home, and this time of season
Yes.
is the Merry Christmas bill. You were kind enough to let us take some pictures
Yeah.
while you ran around with the Santa lobby, and it's been in the news a little bit lately of a school district up in the Metroplex. What's the latest, or tell us about the Merry Christmas bill?
We did a lot of education reform, as people know. We put more focus on career. We cut standardized tests, the state test, the STAR test, from 15 to 5. We did all those things, major reforms, passed a big charter bill. But the bill that I'm probably most excited about and people love is the Merry Christmas bill. Senator Robert Nichols and I were the authors in the Senate. Dwayne Bohack was the leader in the House.
Okay.
We ended up passing his bill, and we sponsored it in the Senate. And it just says in your schools, they can't stop you from saying Merry Christmas. They can't stop your kids from putting up a tree. They can't stop you from wearing green and red and giving out Christmas gifts and Christmas cards and all those things. I love this bill. People love this bill. And there's still some schools out there who don't get it. So if your school's not letting your kids celebrate Christmas at school, tell them to get with the program. It's the law of Texas, and I was proud to be one of the sponsors of that bill. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Well put. On that note, we're going to let you run, get back on the campaign trail. Thanks a bunch for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
Come back soon. Folks, we hope you come back soon, too, to see the next issue of Texas Insider TV. Brought to you by Speedstream. Remember, you're either an insider or you're not. Thank you for Senator Dan Patrick coming by today. I'm Jim Cardle. Thanks.